Beginnings of those ideas, and then the synesthesia in that case would kind of relate to the memory. But I think you're right that we need something more visually, tying it together.
Yeah, it's not just visually, it's sort of thematically of like what ultimately is my goal, why am I in this level, and what am I trying to do?
Is it saying that senses are keys that unlock memories?
Yeah, so
That's the end of the question.
Yeah.
We had some favorite brains that we wanted to go into. There's a brain in a jar.
It's just without a team rolling on soon. Like, I'd like to work with a team on what they're excited about building.
Zach's going to be the project leader of this project. Zach has a more level designer-based approach, which I think makes sense.
look at this team.
Psychonauts 2 is beginning to really get going. I'm fighting them off as long as I can.
Is there a point when you're going to start worrying that there isn't a publisher? Like how many
I'm
months?
always worried there's no publisher. Hi, everybody. Hello. Happy New Year. Welcome back to Double Fine. Thank you for working here another year, at least. One more year. One more year. Nathan, are you there? Yes. Happy 16-year anniversary, Nathan.
That's crazy. Wow, it seems like last year was just not that long ago.
Good one. That's true. That's true. Seems like it's only been 15 years, but it's been 16. That's crazy. Let's talk about what's been going on this last week. What's been going on in the world of business, Mr. Rice?
No, we're just hopping back on all those deals, which we had some conversations over the break about, mostly with Starbreeze and which are kind of like leading the pack right now. So yeah, I have like a huge tracking doc that I've been using for publishers. And I think at this point it was something like 30 that we had pitched. With the hope that we'd get to this point where there's like one we're excited about that's committed and similarly gives us this term sheet that's ready to be signed that we can then kind of use to feel everybody out and see, what's going to be best. And I think the thing that eventually kind of pushed it forward was the whole time the team was working on the game. So we kept getting more and more things that we could show to the publishers that got them excited. And that's what really kind of sped things up because everyone was like, oh, this looks beautiful and you guys are making a real game and I can see it on screen. So once we started kind of doing tour with that, I think people started perking up a bit more. So Starbreeze is working on the first draft of our deal with them. Maybe even this week we might see something, he said. So just kind of watching the inbox, waiting for that, see what comes back. But things are sounding good with them.
So tomorrow we should have a meeting, if you have time, to talk about what we're going to do about Starbreeze.
Yep.
Because Starbreeze was a good meeting. They seem generally really interested. The main guy...
Mr. Starbreeze. Ted Starbreeze.
Yeah. He was talking about, he kept using the term, but I think they're talking about how they're very excited about it, otherwise they wouldn't have us out. Not that they paid for us to come out there, but he's like, but just what if we isn't there a way to spend the money more wisely? And he kept using that term, spend the money more wisely. And I know it's annoying, and I'm sorry you have to go through all this.
Oh, no, it's fine. I mean, I'm used to all this. I'd rather do it.
I know, but I don't want to be used to it. I want to forget what this is like.
At least we're having a sane conversation about it.
About the game, did they give us any feedback on?
They had, their risks were like, what if it was bad in the ways that Psychonauts 1 was bad? To the response is like, what if it wasn't? What if it was good in all the ways Psychonauts 1 was good? And then all the stuff that was bad was instead, that stuff was also good.
Why do I not think of this stuff? I was just going to say, do you know who I fucking am?
They're coming out from Europe, right?
Do you have any new things to show and tell them?
Well, we'll have the quarry. You guys probably saw this on the video that we put together. So this was our initial art test.
What do you feel are the biggest challenges right now, or the biggest challenge right now in the game development itself?
I feel really good about where we are creatively. In fact, I feel better about this project creatively than anything I've ever worked on in terms of like knowing what it is and knowing what we're trying to do and feeling good about the goals. And so I think our two biggest challenges are like the actual just boots on the ground construction of everything. The levels in Psychonauts are incredibly creative, and it's important to me that those creations are driven from the teams working on them, that it isn't like Tim goes off and writes a bunch of specs of what Brain should be, and then people just go make it. They're going to be great because the people who are working on them also are very creatively driven and are coming up with their own ideas.
Share the rest of them, because
Absolutely.
And everybody seems very excited about it over there. So all signs point to yes. So hopefully that'll go well.
I think Rhombus of Ruin, the VR game, was our proof that we could revisit the heart of the game again. Oh, it feels emotionally like Psychonauts again. Like it feels like I'm with those characters again, and they feel the same way they did before, and it does pick up right after the action of the first game, and so I think that test was very successful. Let's talk about the Rhombus of Ruin. What's happening in the Rhombus of Ruin this week? You guys are close.
Submitting a submission build middle of the month. So we're trying to get all our bugs down to 0. Last little bits tied off.
Tying it off.
Tying it off. Yeah. It's better than Lee. He would say pinch it off. So I'm just going to tie it off.
Yeah, you can pinch, but then eventually it's going to leak again. But if you tie it off.
Tie it off.
Oh, woo, okay. Someone sew this up. Okay, that's how we end projects around here.
Originally, we were shooting for being at this point in the end of October.
I think it's come out to about 3 more months of additional time, which is helping us, because I think we would have been able to ship the game, but it would have been rough, buggy. Because we got the extra time, we were able to go, okay, we don't have to do that.
Anyway, so this is my current last remaining A bug. It's a critical bug, because it means the player cannot finish the level if this happens. And essentially, this is in the train. I'm about to complete the train car puzzle. And the bug is that once this happens, if I jump back to this yellow fish, the game should be stuck at that point. I shouldn't be able to actually go anywhere else, and I cannot finish the game. Let's see what happens.
Ooh.
This is a crash. This is not the bug that they're talking about. So now I have found a different bug that I need to fix. Thanks, guys.
And Sony's been great. They are telling us, well, make the game the best you can and don't worry too much about the submission dates. Let's try to hold to it, but they're flexible. We're not. Psychonauts 2 isn't. We need to get those people over to Psychonauts 2. We need to start working on that game, and I know that. Working at a place like Double Fine, where there's a lot of people sharing talent, because just like I was talking about expectations, when you think you're going to be done with the game, there's another team of people who their expectation is that I'm going to get that person and that person and that person to start working for me at this point.
When Emily eventually rolled off the team and was pulled on to help with that, it was really kind of tough because, some of her soul is in GVR and her daily contributions and comments were valued. With Ray leaving and her kind of being pulled on to other stuff, it was kind of like a little of that soul being pulled away. You want to kind of keep that going.
They really wanted to get Rusty, the character artists, going. They need to start getting character models going. So I kind of was able to say, okay, animators, artists are going to get ready for Psychonauts 2 first thing in January. And we've been able to hold to that, which is really good. That isn't to say I've had to go to Ray or Rusty a couple times and say, I need you to fix a bug. And they've been able to. And the Psychonauts 2 team understands that. If I need them to fix one thing, okay, they can fix one thing. So there has definitely been some bargaining with the Psychonauts 2 team. I can imagine they're not exactly thrilled. I know they need programmers.
I feel like we've been in first gear for a long time that I'm looking forward to when we hit pedal to the metal.
Second gear.
Most of the tech work we're doing will be stuff that's used by other projects. So in that sense, our project itself has been pre-production for a lot of those. If we hadn't done our project, they would be spending an extra 8 months, an extra year getting their engine ramped up. So hasn't been too bad in that sense. It's studio-wide knowledge that we have. Like I mentioned, Aaron gave a talk on some of his optimization techniques, and for him it was really a chance to take charge as sort of optimization guru on it.
Hello everyone, I'm Aaron Jacobs, and I'm here to talk to you about how to squeeze performance out of your VR games. First, just a brief bit about me.
And for him to make strides in that, make progress not only as himself, but then to see him actually go and present it at a technical conference and show what he'd learned was, heartwarming to see.
I would like to thank Chad Dawson, our project lead, for encouraging me to do this talk in the first place. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
How does the team feel to be moving off of that project onto Psychonauts 2? Do you feel like there's like fresh blood, you're getting dunk in?
You said you feel like you've got fresh blood to dunk in? Like Dracula eating a cruller? Fresh blood. There's a lot of Unreal expertise that's going to come off of GVR that will help a lot with Psychonauts 2. Hopefully they're not sick of the Psychonauts. Hopefully no one is sick of the Psychonauts.
I'm not worried about the hail, I'm worried about the chill. I sit right there.
I want to first start off by having a big round of applause for the Rhombus of Ruin team. Congratulations on shipping that awesome game today. Amazing. And you guys on the camera, it's out in the wild. I'm getting to the lovely, lovely people tweeting about it to me, saying lovely things.
I think it's really fun to go back to the Psychonauts universe. You forget how much you
Oh my
missed
God,
that.
absolutely.
Especially like seeing the characters all around you again, and even just seeing the UI and just the abstract, wonky art design. I think there is a thrill in looking around just on the art of the environment and seeing these characters
interacting
up
with the characters
close.
for sure.
But people are saying awesome stuff. I brought some quotes to read out for you. For fans of the franchise or VR homeowners hungry for something new, this is one of the best experiences you'll find on the headset. It's nothing short of incredible and has me counting the months until Psychonauts 2.
It's awesome. Was that Chad? Who was that? Expert. It's really nice to see something great and seeing Psychonauts back out in the world after all these years. All right, good update. Is that your last update on GVR?
Probably his last update, yeah.
Check in next week just to see if anything happened. Let's talk about Psychonauts 2. What's going on with Psychonauts 2?
What is going on with Psychonauts 2? So we are trying to get our shit together to do actual sprint planning and move into doing real production work. So we're hoping to kick off a couple of levels this month.
And that works with the lead text on there?
It barely doesn't work.
It barely doesn't?
It only barely doesn't work.
We're gonna need to figure out like how many character designs we can get from you over a set period of time.
Okay, I just want to make sure that before it does go final, I get a chance to make some comments. Because I remember with the GVR, I had made some comments on Sasha and Mia and certain things. I was like, I wish we could turn the joints to be the same distance and things like that. But they say, oh, we're not on them yet. We're still working on Raz. And then I hadn't heard about it, and then the game was done. So if we could aside from that, I don't know. It's just something if we could work into being able to kind of check out some of that stuff,
Yeah. We'll try to figure out how to where in the pipeline for the characters we can put that to make sure it always goes in front of you.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. It sounds good.
And Scott is starting to tear through all the character concepts.
Hey, Scott Campbell.
Oh, your Christmas tree's still up.
Merry Christmas. So's mine. So's mine.
Yay.
Are those trees on your sweater? What's on your sweater?
It's little people.
Like a little,
It's little people. It's like little tourist people. They've all got like suitcases and cameras.
This makes me feel inspired. I like being in this room with you guys. This is cool.
Okay, so we've only got like 20 minutes now, so there's so much to talk about.
Zach was late.
Why would you say that? Next up, the interns. There's a lot of really good stuff here. I love these ones.
Wow.
What is that outfit? It looks almost
sullen.
Spanish or like Chilean. Whoa, look at funky tattoos girl is really, I like her. She's really scrappy.
Yeah, okay.
I love all these guys. These are so great. I love the B guy with his crazy tattoo. Glasses lady, the F girl is cool.
Yeah.
Whoa. But it's been awesome having Scott, because I'm really bad about keeping in touch with people. I'm like, this has really gotten me to talk to Scott every week on Skype. And having him create characters for the game, it's just one way we don't have to worry about matching Psychonauts 1. Like when you're doing a sequel, you're like, well, this has the same feeling and be as good as the first game. And I can feel like just as soon as we saw the first characters and see Frazee being modeled by Rusty, you're just like, yes, this feels really good. This feels exactly like what the characters should look like. And that's just from having Scott on the project and Rusty.
That one's good.
Do you know how there's a big, in Latin culture, there's a big Morrissey following? You ever seen that?
Yes, there is. That actually would be a pretty good one there.
I feel like we're really lucky in how much time we've got from Scott, because I didn't think we were going to have that much. I thought we were just going to do some consulting, but we just keep asking for more of his time. He keeps giving it to us, and I think he enjoys it. He told me he did. He could be lying, but he's doing good work, so I'm not going to question it.
So,
Okay.
so a couple things. We should figure out how many interns we are going to make for the game, because otherwise, if we just pick all the ones we like, we'll have 30.
I was just going to say 30. That's great that we're thinking.
And we've already got 30 other characters, so I would think 4. 4 is enough to have what?
Not 30.
It's not 30. That's not that many. But it's 4, which is a bigger number than 3.
And if one of his sisters joins, that gives you an
You just want her to show up?
Well, like if the dad talked you into the thing. So,
You can have a big side quest. We'll do a side quest for it. A little side quest.
I'm just saying she shows up in the cutscene. Like I'm just thinking there's this thing where you're trying to, okay, I got them off the front lawn. They're off in the campsite. They're never going to come around again. I don't want anyone to know I'm related to these guys. Yeah. And the sister shows up and said, Dad said you have to put me in the intern program. Yeah. And she's just one of the interns from then on,
Who are you talking about?
Raz's sister.
Yeah, the 12-year-old sister.
Except we're trying to establish that the intern program is actually hard to get into, and Raz is less qualified than everybody else, and he's kind of and then his sister just rolls in and does it. Seems like it kind of undermines.
Well, they turn that on him. They're like, oh, you think you can just get her?
I think you just get the joke and then you send her home. Like you get the embarrassment of her showing up and trying to get in, and I think anyway. Point being,
writing problem.
Writer will fix it.
So whether or not we have the sister, how many of the interns are we trying to get? I would say 4. We get 2 boys, 2 girls.
You don't want to do 6 so you can cut 2 later? Think long term, Zach.
Sounds good.
You want to do 6 so we can cut 2 later?
I'm cool with that. If you
All
want to do
right.
that, sometimes it's better.
All right, 3 boys, 3 girls.
It's a little different. Yeah. But I mean, it isn't. It's nice because Tim will, just say, "I want the pie in the sky," and Zach's like, "Well, it'd be nice, but the realities are that I need this and this, and I maybe don't need that other stuff." But Tim's gotten really good at that now too. So
Zach's reeling him in a little bit.
What's that?
Zach's reeling him in a little bit.
He reeled himself in even before Zach. His family reeled him in. And it's true. It's like he wants to go see his wife and child. He doesn't want to stay here until 3 a.m. Even on Broken Age, I'm not sure if he was super excited to actually be in charge of the whole project. But I think what he really wants to do is write the game. Make sure the acting's good, make sure the animation's good, the character design's good, stuff like that.
And almost done through the brain list, so you have a version of that we're going to go over, and we should be set to start kicking off levels in earnest. What's that?
Mailed it to you.
Did you already?
Yeah.
When did that happen? I didn't see.
Like about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. Was it during the meeting? You just have to.
I did that sometime before the break.
Yeah, I think that's all the big stuff that's going on. So it's exciting times.
And James Marion.
And James Marion.
James, where are you? Where are you? Would you? Oh, I see. You think by sitting behind the post that I won't see you and I won't call you. Would you please stand up so people can see who you are, and can I ask you a few questions? Because I don't pay attention during job interviews, and this is the only way I actually get to. Great. What role might you play on which team?
Associate level design on Psychonauts 2.
Awesome.
I know when I was being interviewed, they were pretty upfront about they were cautiously optimistic about me because I had so little experience with actual 3D level design. But also, no one makes 3D platformers, so the pool of people who have made 3D platformers is pretty small.
I was pretty excited about it, but I wanted to hear what everybody else had to say, and everybody else was super thumbs up. That guy's great. We should hire him.
Because he didn't have any level design experience.
He doesn't have any 3D experience,
or levels.
Yeah, but he's cheap. He's junior. You gotta take chances on people.
Okay.
I'll fire him if he's bad.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. I'll just be like, didn't work out, dude. Sorry. It'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
What I understand about the original game is that the level designers, it didn't go great. So they eventually got fired halfway through the project, which I saw on Wikipedia a day after I got hired. I was like, oh no, this is a terrible omen.
All right, come to the kitchen for cake if you were into that kind of thing.
But then my hope is by next week in earnest, we could kick you two off on a brain. Have you met Jeremy?
Hi, Jeremy.
Have you met James? Yes. And so you guys would be doing the first brain. And unless there's a real solid reason to pick one, like we can talk to you guys and let you figure out which one sounds the most interesting to you guys. For next week, I think what would be nice when we kick off the levels is for you to be the concept art support for these two guys as a level team.
Okay.
I have a meeting with Tim later today, and we're going to go over the preliminary brain list. My hope is there's at least one thing in there that is like solid enough that we're like, yes, that can be the first brain that we can do. And then you guys can continue to work on the HQ stuff and do that because we have to figure out how do we further kick off the hub because it's so big.
It's huge.
You're not going to lay out the whole hub, so we just need to sit down and figure out how we're going to handle that process. Like, do we do a couple of different chunks and push it through the workflow that way?
One of the problems with the hub is that it's very, very big. And I'm pretty sure that there's stuff that we're not even thinking about right now that we don't have a place for that we'll need to figure out how to incorporate as well. That's something that I'm really excited about. Like just kind of feeling out what that history ends up being in the world.
What if it was the camp before the camp?
Oh, like there's an old kids camp
Yeah.
over here. Now, that could be creepy. But it's all run down, wall full of handprints, Moaning Caverns, Psychic Summer Camp.
We've moved on.
You've grown up.
You've grown up.
It's the symbol
You
for
can't go
growing
home
up.
again.
A
No.
little sign over there.
Well, what's the most important stuff to go over?
This stuff probably. 'Cause we got to get people kicked off on something soon.
What do you think the biggest change? The biggest change in this is the idea of reusing Psychic 7.
Yeah.
The stump people.
Yeah, as a
lot of the characters.
The stump people.
The stump people.
It's a trauma film.
These are the old stumps. Actually, we were looking at Psychonauts because the stumps in the campgrounds had some old Psychonauts, and we wanted to make sure that we fit the story with them. Because we talked about referencing. At first, it was like, well, we could use Cassiopeia, and we could use Lucretia. Could be.
But once you're using two of them,
I feel like you got to use them all.
Laws of symmetry.
And also, I feel like it could be a nice way of telling the stories of the back history with each one of them having some piece of it.
Yep.
There's an early idea from the first game that Lily just touches on in one cutscene, which is the Psychonauts aren't what they used to be, and that's more about how they were brought about as a peacekeeping force, and now they've achieved a lot of that peace, and now people are like, who needs the soldiers of that war anymore? And the Psychonauts are kind of underfunded now. But this is more about how the Psychonauts get in that position. Is this what they really were meant to be? And that Ford, maybe when he found it, had a different vision for that. Maybe that gathering of people is in each brain that you can go into, and they remember that time. They have a different perspective on that time.
Other memories of, yeah.
And I like it, and it helps a lot, and it helps bring the Psychic 7 into a real purposeful group. And it lets Psychonauts 2 have this story that's about something instead of just like the further adventures of the spies. So, okay, did you get to read through this?
I got through like half.
Okay. So. The reason you can tell this is not final is that there's no still deep fried world in it. I have not found a place for deep fried.
DLC. The D stands for deep.
Deep fried. Okay, cool.
Yep. Kentucky
for the
Fried.
DLC plan, say everything, knock on wood, Starbreeze.
Yeah.
Is this the brain plan, or were some of these going to come out for DLC?
No.
Okay, DLC's addition to this.
In addition. Yes.
Oh man, this is a fat and happy
But
design.
but this is fat and happy in a different way. So we'll talk about how we might be able to do some of this.
What?
No,
I still think even with the budget of Starbreeze that we should cut down.
It's just that there's a lot of two-state brains, which is awesome, where you go into them and then you go into them again, which is cool. But once it becomes massive state changes within the level where you do visit and revisit, and it's different each time, and all the Ford fragments are so vastly different in all of their directions, are all like mini brains now. So once we actually figure out production math on those things, I think it becomes bigger than just 11 brains. The initial list of brain ideas we had packed in maybe a few too many ideas. We had a very long series of brainstorms, and then the brain list we boiled down to often was one or two things, or three things, or four things in a row. So we've got a lot of two-state brains. We've got a lot of brains that like start off this way and end up that way, or the person has kind of multiple mental conditions. I think some of that stuff's going to have to get clarified out for it to be sort of a strong singular direction on some of these. So there's been 12 a lot for a while.
Design them all and then cut the worst one.
So I think the next thing for this is to go through it with the team and then figure out what brain we would want to do next.
We've got like Beehive,
Okay.
which is the Hermit's Hive, the
Yeah.
Lisa Frank Bosch, which is Boolean values.
What's the third one of that?
And pickled promotion, which is the synesthesia.
Yeah, the brain in a jar.
Brain in a jar.
Jeez.
Brain in a jar, Beehive, or the Lisa Frank Psychopath.
Yeah, I thought the idea for Fullbeard is that when he's in the brain in the jar, he's just being crushed under the weight of his own thoughts. Everything is kind of...
Or anything else to come up with. Like, he's been isolated for years and years as a brain in a jar, and he's been alone with his thoughts, and what is that like? It's however we want to design it. It's all it's up to you guys to figure it out. It's about building out these level teams and having those level teams be functional creative units that work really well together, and for that, they need to do creative work together. And we could just hand them ideas and say, here's what you're building, go build it, but I don't think that would develop them as a team as well, and ultimately they wouldn't feel as close to the work.
We should have a beard team and a mustache team.
That's weird. With that in mind, it's really just making sure they don't go too far off the rails, or they don't do something that is coming in, way below the quality bar, or I don't feel they can execute on. And then the Beehive, I think.
Beehive seems pretty straightforward.
It seems straightforward. When you guys get done with it, it would not be straightforward. It would be whatever crazy thing you want to do with it.
It's definitely not the type of environment I'm used to. But I did have some sense that the process would be like, here's where the game is at the beginning of the level, here's where it needs to get to, fill in that blank. So, yeah. Yeah, I would go with Lisa Frank right now because it is a little more grounded for me.
Lisa Frank was also the thing that Emily was super excited about.
Oh, is she not? She's not going to be on this one?
We're going to have her do the hub. We could swap.
That was her idea when we were the very initial brainstorm.
Oh, then let's do the synesthesia one.
Okay.
No.
I don't want to take that away from her.
I think it would be really good if she did it, though.
Okay. Does that mean you guys really want to change that?
I think it'd be better if she worked on that one.
How do you feel about that, Liba?
Sure.
Excitement, everyone!
Come on.
All of those are going to be great. They're all going to be great to work on.
So you guys want to do the brain in a jar?
Yep.
Sure about that? Damn it.
Locked.
You guys will get it done.
Final answer.
That's totally fine. All right. Brain in a jar. All right.
I'm working on a cool hub.
Done.
Meeting with Peter Chan in the afternoon, input tasks for Jeremy into Handsoft, and then worked on the setting up sound volumes for Camden, and had a meeting with him about sound inside of the interior pretty area.
Do you need me?
He's just sneaking out. No, it's okay. Oh. Tense moment?
No, not at all. I forgot that you guys were in there with Starbreeze because we were doing stand-ups. Do you need me? Is that over or do you need me? It's over. Okay. All right.
Starbreeze wants to do it.
They're what? They're into it?
They're into it.
They're into it.
Bo signed off on it. He signed off on it.
Oh, all right. Cool. So have they already run the numbers and all that stuff?
There's final numbers between him and Greg.
That's big. That's big. All right.
So, Helmut Fullbear is one of the original Psychonauts. He died in this great battle. You should probably read the general story doc because it kind of outlines what this battle is, why that's happening, because that's kind of the story of Psychonauts 2. But basically, he died in this great battle, but his brain was put on a sort of life support where it was supposed to be turned off, but it wasn't, and he's been kind of stewing in his own juices for like 20 years. So this level is made up of those ideas he's been coming up with for the last 20 years. He's been trying to remember how he died. You're walking through these different copies of the same battle as he's been trying to figure that out.
Oversized Viking going into battle, kind of like the idea. It wasn't actually like that in his battle, but just a spun story about it.
And when we get to Helmut, we see that he's been in this constant state of frustration and pain for years. And Raz suggests that maybe we'd be able to fix that if we put him in a body, and we just happen to have a body lying around. So when we do that, what happens is he's overwhelmed by the sensations because he's gone so long without them, and it's Raz's job to put those senses in order. Yeah, I actually think the initial brainstorm was really strong, and what was cool is that we had this idea of this like big Viking ship over a wasteland kind of floating there, and this really strong visual. But the gameplay part was less strong, so we've spent the last week kind of going over that again and again and again until we felt really confident about that.
Do you ever hire anybody that's like super weird fanboy? Is there anybody that's
just
strange?
You, only you.
Just me.
You hide it really well.
I know.
That's great.
Yeah, I was a big Tim Schafer fan for a long time. And I remember making like a fool out of myself 2 years ago at GDC because I like went up to him and was like, hey, I'm a big fan. And he was like, thanks for playing. And then like turned away. I was like, oh no, I've put myself in a category forever now.
Afterwards or before?
Afterwards. I was embarrassing, but you don't remember, so it's fine.
Wait.
No, you don't.
I have a story.
I wasn't
too.
that embarrassing. I was just.
I never met you, but when I went to Comic-Con one year, you were sitting behind me on the plane.
That's exciting.
It was the Southwest flight. It was one of the ones where you pick your own seats, and I guess like that was like the one.
And I picked the seat behind you.
Yeah.
So like being in a meeting room with him and like pitching him story ideas and talking through how the level's gonna go is like totally nuts. But I guess I'm taking like a fake it till you make it kind of approach where I have to at least give off the impression that I'm confident in my ideas, or else they're never gonna work. So, yeah, I do. I'm glad he seems into the Viking stuff. Which is
It was
good.
cool. We got to pitch a lot of it already before
Yeah.
next Tuesday.
We just have to make sure if Zach doesn't like something, we can't be like, well, Tim liked it, so.
We already talked to Mom.
Yeah. No, I mean he is the
Don't
writer.
tell Tim I called him Mom.
That's all you ever
just
call
picked
him.
one at random.
Whenever the cameras are off, that's all you ever say.
Yeah.
You say, can we get Mom in here? We also have Anna Kipnis on the team, who will be kind of giving us programming support. Yeah, Anna will be helping with brainstorming too. She's super smart, and she's the only person on the team who was there for Psychonauts 1, so she's a great resource for that.
Idea of like what does the boat actually represent here? And maybe he is like maybe if you climb to the crow's nest, he's trying to remember this memory, and it's almost like trying to find land.
So yesterday was mostly just meetings and interviews. Didn't do a lot for levels, but today is all levels all day with the level presentations. And then I'm going to prioritize for the rest of the week putting together that high-level direction sheet for Brains.
What's your plan for doing the actual pitch? How's it going to go?
How's it going to go?
Let me ask you some interview questions. You nervous?
Yeah.
You ever see that movie with Eminem, 8 Mile?
Yep.
Or that song where he's like, what if you had one shot? Could you do the lyrics right now?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Tim's like a dreamer, right? Like, I even noticed that in the Double Fine Adventure. Tim thinks about things without a ton of concern regarding like how possible they are, which I think is really good for a creative director. So it's probably great that Zach's here to be like, nope, not gonna work. I would assume Zach is probably good enough, smart enough to know that some impossible things are probably possible.
Oh yeah, that's Anna brought that one up. There it is. Oh, that's not going to be enough for all of us.
It's still brewing, so I had to jump into the thingamajiggy. Did you guys all want coffee? Or something? You want Well, freak out if I stand
this
here.
whole thing is going to be so exciting. You're just going to wake up. You're not going to need coffee. You're like, boom.
I'm only standing up because of my back. I hope I'm not about to run out the door. Power move to psych you out. If I was sitting at my desk earlier and I was almost dead. I slept in my parents' guest room bed and my back threw out. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, that's heroic.
Okay.
That's just...
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to Helmut's Harbonarium. The level starts in this little cave of memories that's constructed of discarded memories that Helmut's created. It's devoid of energy. It's kind of eerie. And as Raz moves, he creates little bubbles of light and energy because he's the first kind of impulse this brain's had in decades. He sees Helmut's ship floating high above a spire in the distance. And out in front of him is a wasteland of discarded memories. He can hear the faint sound of muffled singing emanating from the ship. And needing Helmut's permission to move his brain in the real world, he hops down into the wasteland in front of him, losing sight of the ship among the piles of abandoned ideas.
Raz takes the brain out of the jar, somehow gets it to Nick, and inserts it in Nick's body.
Returning to Helmut's brain once in the body, things have gone a little crazy in the opposite direction. So many of the objects that you saw in the wasteland below are now floating up into the storm, spiraling around the ship itself, and a lot of very obvious platforming is now strewn across the level.
I think you mean a lot of really awesome platforming?
Yes.
So this is where you get more and more closer to like some of the memories that Helmut actually has of this final battle.
If I may, so the idea is that he has this actual memory that's lost of the battle, but he remembers senses from it, right? So say that battle happened in a cold place, he remembers that it was cold, and then this island is created just from that sense memory, so it might be a glacier, something like that. So you go to those sense islands, you free the helmets that should be manning the ship from those phantom nicks, and the senses are sorted. So the helmets are once again manning the ship. Helmet's able to control the senses, finally able to finish his song. And Helmet, now in control of Nick's body, runs out of the mailroom in search of Ford. The end.
It's very good timing with the song.
I have a bunch of different people. Do you guys want to go? Who wants to go?
Go ahead and start.
All right. The islands are the memory that are going to form the thing that he's trying to put back together. Maybe that was the intention, but it does feel like a set of different stumbling blocks, and not you come into the level, you understand his problem, and then at the end of the level, you've resolved that thing. It feels like, as you've described it, it doesn't set up that chain of conflicts in a way that that players necessarily, I think, will all hook together on a moment-by-moment basis. Because it does feel like a whole bunch of ideas, and none of those ideas have been discarded. They've all just been put together into one idea that is what I generally call the buffet kind of design, where it's like we just had a bunch of stuff we liked, so we put it all on the plate. And I think that will result in it being over-scoped and confusing in the game. It's not, like I said, it's just not a slam dunk.
Cool. Yep.
All right.
There's some really great ideas here. Yeah.
So this sounds to me like another couple of days on concept development,
Yeah.
and then circle back in and try to get like that actual kind of like quest and conflict stuff nailed down before going on to actual white box and layout. What's today? Tuesday. How much time do you guys want?
Is that coffee made?
I bet the coffee is made.
Do you guys remember what Zach said exactly from the meeting?
Zach said a lot.
Unless I could help out with Helmet by coming up with a better story of who he is. Because I feel like I didn't give him that. I didn't give him much to work with. Like Helmet, he's a Viking-ish looking dude.
Yeah.
I mean, they filled in the holes. It seems like they know a lot. Well, maybe they still are. We didn't want them feeling like they were trying to fulfill an order that we were making about what.
Well, I think what I want to avoid is them feeling like they're taking stabs into the dark until they hit the thing that you want, which is not how that works. But it's the feeling people can get where they're like, I'm just throwing stuff out there until somebody, the dude who wants a thing and can't articulate it, says yes, trying to take stabs in the dark until you smile. So.
Accidentally shows Helmet that, new impulses are good. Helmet says, like, Raz, do this new impulse thing to this other thing. Raz does it, and then whatever Raz does to make that thing better gets washed away immediately because of the state of the world. And that's what causes Helmet to say, like, oh, I need more. I need my own senses.
It's like maybe a random association, but when I lived alone for a long time, I was single for a long time, you guys. What? Yeah. I had there's a period where I was just living by myself, and I was in crunch mode, and I set something down, or I moved something in my house, and then I realized that I had set it down like a week before, and it hadn't moved at all. And I realized like nothing in this apartment is ever gonna move unless I move it, because I never have anyone over. I feel like I live here alone.
That's amazing.
This is weird.
That's super
like
cool.
Things are getting dust on them in temporary. Like I set something down temporarily, and now has dust on it in that shape. Like, oh god. And I got a cleaning service, and they came and they started messing things up and putting things in the wrong place and making new piles and stuff. But I loved it because I was like, oh my god, there's chaotic input into my world. It's just like that scene in Misery when she knows the glass animal is turned the wrong way, and that's how she knows he's been getting out of the bedroom.
Yeah.
That's my apartment was that. It was like Misery. That's like Helmut's brain. It's like he's been the only person touching stuff. Nothing has moved except for when he did it. You come in and you move his glass animal penguin,
Yeah.
and he's like, he gets enraged at first, but then he's like, this changes everything. Like this gives me like 10,000 more ideas all of a sudden.
That seems awesome. Like if he has this whole battle like kind of placed out on the deck of the ship, and then he realizes this is
And even
better.
Helmut puts it back together wrong. He did a heavy sigh. Okay.
No, so let me explain what we liked about the statue idea, even though it might be half-baked, right? It was like a very physical... I had a dream last night that I got in a fist fight with Tim. I'm sorry, Tim.
Man, you got a killer cocktail.
What's that?
Uh-oh.
that would be on brand. Key's here just so, as we're describing things happening in the hub, he's like, oh no.
He's like, I'm not programming that. Nope. No, you can't have that feature you're asking for. For our hub quest flow check-in, because we know a lot more about the hub than the other brain levels and such, this is much more about trying to establish how the quest in Act 1 and 2 works inside the hub. So as you're going towards the atrium, there's only one path available from the lobby to the atrium. And on the way to the atrium, Raz encounters a group of surly interns who are less than impressed by him. And we cut to Raz has been deposited in a storage closet in his skivvies, a tank top and shorts.
Wow. And there's only really one way out of this closet, but we get a action path that leads Raz up to the second floor. And in this place, we're going to introduce updrafts and ladders. So it's sort of like Raz is crawling through the vents at this point.
You're like on the outside, and you're like doing an action path around the superstructure of the base, and you've got like a nice vista or something. But just, especially because
like when you're talking about being outside, it just made me laugh because he would have to walk on a ledge outside a window, and like the wind is blowing, and you're like, I've dreamed of coming to this place all my life. And within 10 minutes of being here, I'm naked on a ledge, and I'm ruining everything. I think that's really funny.
Yeah. I feel like that's a Naked Gun scene somewhere.
Yeah, if we do it right.
And then the high elevation area, which is the one you're going to do. And luckily, the thing that's interesting about that is the brain we're kicking off is the hub brain that is in that area.
What a
so
coinkydink.
We already know that stuff.
Man and his passions.
Too many cooks, right?
Of course. He's watching. Full house opening. Why? Why not? We're gonna do one of those.
Who is that guy? Seriously.
That's Danny Tanner in this version, I guess.
I have a suspicion that maybe
It's without that one guy.
It's Bob Saget.
Bob Saget.
They set it up out there. I don't know. I mean, Denise is all popped the thing.
What is going on?
You're gonna stay on this thing. Ah.
You want a glass?
Greg, do you have it on you?
I do.
Show it. We want to share with you our finalized, fully executed contract with Starbreeze Studios. It's awesome news. Just cheers. Yeah. It's been signed by them. Wait, show the part where they signed it. That's important.
We have 2 signatures now.
That's awesome. Now, we're already making this game, and nothing's going to stop us from making this game, but there's a substantial amount of money tied to that contract that's going to help us make this game the way we want to make it. It's really great, so I want to toast and thank first Greg Rice for doing all that amazing biz dev on that.
We went out to dinner with him after to this we had like steak restaurant dinner or whatever, and it was I don't know if this is like because my body was just so worn down from all of the pitching and all the stress, and it like finally felt like a bit of relief. But after that dinner, like the next morning, I got food poisoning and puked for the first time in like 25 years in the cab on the way to the airport, and then in the airplane on our like 10-hour flight back to the States.
Greg threw up on my Uber, so that's why I switched to Lyft. I know how to say, why didn't you tell me to pull over in Swedish?
So it just felt like everything was like finally like, oh God, maybe this is actually gonna work.
It was great. A lot of people passed on it. A lot of people thought they offered us less money. There were some people who wanted to give us like a tiny bit of money. We're like, we want to make a really good game. It's gonna take this much money. And Starbreeze turned out to be the one that was the most enthusiastic, and also the one that gave us the best deal, like the most supportive offer came from Starbreeze. So it was great that it ended up being the one that made it all the way to the end. But they've been great, and it's kind of funny because there's such a big difference between Psychonauts and Payday, but I think they have a lot of ideas about how to make the game a big hit, so I look forward to the hit Psychonauts 2. Hey, Miyuki, do you have a question? No. Okay, great. Okay. I'm gonna get down before I break this chair and throw my back out again.
It's a significant amount of money for the studio. That means that the runway is longer than I've seen it in the time I've been here. But yeah, he seems happy. I feel like he was probably pretty stressed, mostly because of the publisher deal not being sorted out. So I think now that is, and he knows that now it's just about making a game, I think everybody seems excited about just kind of diving in.
Down to Mid Plaza and go to Chez Papa and enjoy a really, really nice restaurant.
Chez Papa.
Yeah, Chez Papa.
I'm down at Chez Papa. Sorry, been drinking champagne. Sounded funny to me.
Tim is smashed for this meeting.
Yeah, let's do some brains.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure how to do this presentation because it's an update, but what I'd really love to do is to just read the narrative explanation, or the narrative piece I've written for each section of the level, and then just turn towards you guys, and if you go like this,
and we just really just like to get a rubber stamp and get out of here.
Yeah. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but
I'd like you to just say some things and have you agree. Sure.
But the cool thing is that Helmet actually will be singing, and you can hear that. So you will hear words related to whatever objects are falling. So it'll put two and two together that the wasteland is creations coming from Helmet singing.
that's the first one. Keep going. Good. I got thumbs up. Okay. There are sensors on each island fighting new enemies that represent the census coming in. There's kind of a little war going on between them.
Yep.
And your job is to help fight those so the sensors can take control of the island and filter the census for Helmet.
Which visibly...
You like that? No?
flashing yellow light. Keep going.
Okay.
I'm kidding. It's fine.
And once you complete that, once you do that, once you help the sensors take back control, they kind of shut off a big valve that stops the census from
yes, I mean that is one thing I am confused about because it is like he's building a memory, but you're repairing the islands so that he can then rebuild the memory. Like
no, so you're not repairing the islands. You're not putting them all back together. You're just shutting off valves on each one.
Right.
And then he makes a memory.
Yeah,
like,
so
what is
the memory,
end
the memory is just like it's a narrative payoff at the end of the level,
Yeah.
but his conflict with not being able to recall memories is done after you get back into his brain.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's makes sense.
Well, I get that part I thought made sense because at first he's building he's singing this thing and the set's being built.
I don't know if Zach was totally convinced. He was just like,
I think Zach was maybe the least convinced of the three of them. I think Tim was on board for the narrative stuff that is important to Tim, which is like who Helmet is and his interactions with the other characters. I think Zach is way more on board than he was at the first pitch session because we simplified the goals of the character, and once that was pretty clearly explained to him, he was I think he was okay with it.
Okay.
So A+.
Me.
A-.
Yeah, I get that. I think I get that.
It's kind of a pass, no pass at this point.
That's why I went to UC Santa Cruz.
That's a horrible thing to say to us.
You don't know until you like really start building it, and
For
it's
sure.
like that's the real point of this phase is like to get something that people are excited about enough. I didn't mean that in an insulting way. I just
No,
meant it in
absolutely.
a like, is there enough material and does it make sense and does it serve as a good seed to start building from, and then from there it'll get better and better and better.
Yeah, obviously this is all still going to change over the course of making the level, but our goal with that change was to simplify what the player is thinking they're doing.
Sure.
All right, not canceled.
What?
It's not canceled, right? The level's not canceled. You got a big not canceled.
Are we
Let's see.
clear to go into white boxing?
I think so. Sure. There's always going to be questions. But this isn't a big enough one that I would say go back to another couple days of concept. I would say go on to white boxing and figure it out then.
Excellent.
It's one that we'll probably keep asking about during white boxing to make sure that it's being thought of and solved.
Yeah, I do have questions about white boxing. I don't know if this is the time.
Nope.
I gotta go too.
It's
Yeah, we'll see. The level's not done yet. He's a very creative guy. He's a really funny guy. So we have a lot of hopes. And he hasn't, made a big level like this ever before. And so I think this process will be somewhat painful for him, and then he'll come out of it a better designer.
Yeah, I mean, I can't be 100% confident it'll work either, just because I haven't made a Psychonauts 2 level before. And it's also the first one in the game. So we're going to have to figure it out as we go along.
Type in CE space go to and select go to warp, just like kind of near the very top there. And go ahead and go into the lab.
Wow.
So you can
And now, if you run straight forward,
Oh, man.
here's Helmet's brain.
down.
Is it gray? Is it,
so
is
nervous.
it corpse gray?
Look at it and
No.
Want to try it?
No.
Yeah, you do. Can I take a little
No.
sip? Ryan, you want to try it?
No, thank you.
We live in a post-food future.
No, we do not live in a post-food future. We do not live in a post-food future.
It's not how humans
We
are
do not.
supposed to
We
eat.
do
It's
not.
how you're
Well,
supposed to eat humans.
I
There
will
you go.
be-
Yeah, sure.
It's very smooth, which most protein stuff is terrible about. So it could be worse. There's just way more than I
Smooth
want.
on the
There
way
would
in,
be-
smooth on the way out.
Oh, God.
Keep that film rolling. We gotta get the whole story.